Conspiracies, government cover-ups, Earth mysteries, monster cryptids.
Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity, Stop the New World Order. Welcome to HPANWO TV and welcome to this Reply to Comments 130, the 130th video in which I reply to your comments. The reason I make these videos is because I have lots of comments on my very popular channel, and I feel obliged to reply to them because some of these comments are very well thought out. They're long, detailed, sometimes asking me direct questions or giving me specific feedback. It would be impolite and disrespectful to my viewers who take the time to write these comments and communicate with me not to reply. And so I make these videos to do so because I don't have time to reply by text. You might think this is a bad way of replying to comments because it's a 9-hour video, and you may think, what's the point of watching a 9-hour video to reply just to one? I just want to reply to one comment. You might be thinking, well, it's not a problem because my videos are much shorter than that these days. My reply to comments videos have shortened over the years because I do them more often. Secondly, there's a timestamp under the comment I'm replying to that will tell you to within the nearest hour when I'm going to reply to these videos. I enjoy doing these as well, and lots of you viewers enjoy watching them. Some of you watch them all the way through. The reply to comments videos also means that should the worst happen to my channel or to my videos, which, well, to my channel, it's perfectly possible in this day and age. Indeed, I have lost about a dozen videos for various reasons, or more than that, actually, 20 or more videos. The comments will be preserved, and the precious philosophical dialogue, to quote Stefan Molyneux, will still be there. Okay, I should also say that if you are watching this on YouTube, you may not be, because I'll be uploading this video to all my video sharing sites, including Old Tech. And I should point out there's an Old Tech annex as well, which is, I've already uploaded it before I record this, and that will be, I'll be answering comments on my Old Tech sites, which usually get a little too spicy for YouTube. If you are watching this on YouTube, though, I should point out if you press Control F, you can actually activate the transcript, and then you can use the search function to skip to whatever you want, whatever part of the video you want to watch. Just putting in some keywords, you should be able to find it quite easily. So with that being said, let's go to the video. Now, dear me, I haven't even scrolled down yet. I'm really a bit beyond this. I'm now going to scroll down. There's almost a month, actually. This should be quite a long one. I might not even be able to record it all tonight, actually, because it's gone 10 o'clock. I might not be able to record all this tonight, in which case I will have to do it another day, which is all right. I'm getting prompts for AI videos now, which is oh, here we are. Right, okay. If I can't finish it, I can't finish it. You know, that's just too bad. I will carry on tomorrow. I'll carry on tomorrow with this. All right, now, because I've selected newest comments first, I'm getting a few reply to comments on here, which actually are below some of the actual notifications I put last time. So I've got to be a bit careful about that, actually. No, that's not one. I'm just going to scroll down a little bit further than I normally do. But here we go. We have here on back to Basis 2026 Disclosure Conference Part 1 of 2. Mountain Goat says, thank you, Colin. Yeah, Colin and I, of course, we did a really cool little dialogue there, which of course which I have recorded for my own video. It's also available on the Basis channel on Basis TV. And Paul Wills says, quite rightly, there is only one Colin Wolford. There is indeed. And so okay, so that one's done. Let's just keep going. At some point, these sort of like post notice from the last cycle comments will actually wear off. And David Smith says here, haha, David, the king of sarcasm, is here. Very true. Yes, and he lives up to this. Send me £1,000 or your family will be cursed for generations. Also, I'll send you £5,000 back. Honest? Come on, don't be skeptical of everything and don't drain my energy. You know, David, thousands would believe you, but I don't. Yes, indeed. Okay, so I think now I can't actually remember the context of this. This is a bit of a problem when we get into these various. Oh, Mr. McGee said something about what was it? About skeptics. That's it. Yeah. Okay. Funny enough, I mean, it's funny you should say that, David, because I was actually ripped off last week. Well, it was actually the week before I've written a HPANWO voice article about it because it led to a really incredible experience, an absolutely amazing experience. I might make a video about it at some point, actually. I'm currently in the middle of a complaint about the issue, but but you can go to HPANWO voice and read. I wrote an article called "Shining a Light." You can go and watch that. Mountain Goat says on basis 2026 Disclosure Conference Part 2 of 2. Are you watching the World Cup? Yes, I did watch. I didn't watch every single match, but I did watch the as many as I could, especially when it got to the ties. I watched them. I watched the final as well. I do. I'm not a massive football fan actually, but I do enjoy football. And we have reply to comments 129 YouTube. This is the previous reply to comments video. And Jimmy Wormholes 888, good name, says first. Well done, Jimmy. You get a gold tinfoil hat. You beat Mountain Goat to it. And Jimmy Wormhole says on the same video, Alpha and Omega. Yes, the Alpha and the Omega. That's the first and last letters of the Greek script of the alphabet. That's right. And Mountain Goat says third or second. I don't know, mate. I don't know, but it's a medal either way. And it's good. England did get the bronze. It's actually some consolation that England actually, even though England was out in the semis to Argentina again. No, so was it? Yeah, it was Argentina again, wasn't it? Despite that fact, they still got. They still did get the bronze. They got third place playoff. This is something against France. That was a good match, actually, better than the semi. Neil Peel says first in an alternative universe. Okay, I will send you an etheric Mandela effect gold medal there, Neil. Thank you very much. And we have here Gary Robinson, who says here, oh right, I've got, believe it or not, I've got AI replies prompting me. I don't want to use those. How do I reply without the AIs? All right. Oh, Gary has a series of comments here, so I'm just going to put them here. I don't want AI comments. I've got show more. Show more. Here we go. And Gary says here, hey Ben, mate, the Blu-ray and 4K Blu-ray of Disclosure Day already up for pre-order. Yes. Yes, indeed. I've actually ordered one. I've ordered the basic DVD. I don't have a Blu-ray or 4K player, but I've basted the. I've ordered the basic DVD. I'm actually writing a HPANWO voice article about that at the moment, which I probably won't be able to do tonight. And Gary says, great to see it's been boosted for limited distribution to general release. That does indeed suggest that the limited screenings were busy enough to warrant a full release. Also, despite all my comments about the movie, at the end of the day, if somebody enjoys it, then it's not for me to tell them it's not a good movie. Yeah, I mean, Gary, I agree. I mean, in the same way that if someone doesn't enjoy it, it's not for me to tell them that they're wrong and for their tastes, and it is a good movie. I mean, and indeed, many people disliked it. I've just been talking a lot about Disclosure Day at the Awake and Aware conference to many people, and I met many people who have a much lower opinion of the film than I do. And Gary says here, I've still not seen it yet. Oh, right. Oh, well, I mean, Gary, I'm not going to reveal private conversations between us, but we have had a private conversation about this, and I think you have now, haven't you? But he says here, at the end of the day, sorry, he says, I've still not seen it yet, as I've been too busy to get to the cinema, and we didn't have our drama workshop night out as planned just yet. Is it still showing on a few big screens? I haven't checked. I've seen it twice. I was going to watch it a third time, decided not to. I'm hoping I'll get the chance to watch it next week. Otherwise, I might wait for the 4K Blu-ray to drop so I can watch it in glorious maximum bitrate with Dolby Vision and HDR, which make all the difference. All right. Well, you know what? I think, Gary, I'm going to have to get maybe I'll get one of those players at some point. I don't have one. I don't think anyone in the house has one. I know we don't have one in our lounge. I don't know if Ahmet and Hassan have one in their rooms, which I can borrow. But I bought the DVD, which I could just play on my optical drive here on my PC. And Gary continues here. Of course, Gary says Gary is in a drama group, if you remember that. Yeah, he is. Also, the acting is going well. It's hard work, and I really enjoy it. The workshop I attend is run by an actor called Bradley Turner, who played the character of Freddie Shaw in Mobland on Paramount+. So I'm in really good company. Ooh. Yeah, it's nice. You're getting trained by a proper accomplished actor, which is exactly what you want, Gary. Yes, so you can get the skills that you need. And there's even a girl in the team. Ooh, wolf whistle. who started in a movie with Jon Voight and is standing next to him in the movie poster. Oh my God, Gary, I don't suppose that's the 5 people you meet in heaven, is it? Because that's the best film. That's the film I'm most familiar with when I think of Jon Voight. And I've done a watch party about it, as you probably know. He carries on. I've been surprised to learn that being an actor is not about being able to read a script and deliver a performance. It's about being able to do improv. And once you have that skill, you earn the right to be able to perform scripted scenes. That's why good actors are considered such a valuable commodity, because it's not easy and takes years of practice to be good at it. That's actually very true, Gary. I mean, people often think actors are just like spoilt. It's money for old rope, and they're just overpaid. Basically, they're just overpaid spawn gets, basically, who've had more than their fair share of good luck. No. They make it look easy, and you think it's easy. Well, I can pretend to be someone else. I can put on a fake voice, and I can act different, So that's all acting is. No. To be a good actor is actually not easy at all, and it is actually as you say, it takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of skill. And these people you see in the movie, like in Disclosure Day, there's lots of big names in that film. Emily Blunt, Colin Firth. These are big time A-list actors and actresses. They're not just they've got years of experience to do what they did. To be realistic, and you think how good some of their characters are. Margaret is such a great character. Things like that. And Gary says, pride and dignity to all. You too, mate. You too. Thanks for the comment. Now we have bassist 1 of 2, and we have David Smith. All right. David Smith says, that's not what a skeptic is. Great, Ben. So when will you be calling into the line, or some having a detailed direct discussion about this, or will you just parrot it continually without actually testing your false assumptions? All right. Well, David, are you aware? Well, you hopefully you are, because you've hopefully seen the video, that the one I made after this, that is the Newport one, the Lighthouse one, there was a skeptic in the audience, and he asked some questions. Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, I'll call into them at some point. Yeah, I mean, I will talk to skeptics. I mean, I have spoken to them. You know very well that I've done interviews with Tristan Swale and with Marsh from Merseyside Skeptics. You know that. And when I told you that, you actually believed, and I think you were quite surprised when I did that. And I think you realized you'd underestimated me. But you didn't actually admit that. You just doubled down. Just the same way that what's his name, Polish, does about Samantha Cristoforetti and the UFO in space. You just double down, and it's just. I don't know if you're like this, David. So don't take this personally, but skeptics are a motherload of ego. You really are. As a group, as a collective, you are a motherload of ego. And Mountain Ghost is underneath the line. Isn't that Matt Dillahunty? No sane person would debate him. The guy's a beast. You'll get a love art for that. He's very, very, he's actually quite a challenge, actually. He's quite a formidable opponent. And I do watch the line sometimes. And yeah, he is, I think he would give me a run for my money. But at the end of the day, I think I would be polite to him, and I think he'd probably be polite to me. I don't like the way, like Molyneux, I think he's too hard on some people I think don't deserve it. And that's one of the reasons I'd hesitate to talk to him, simply because of what I think is a bit of a bad attitude that he has. David Smith says here, they have like over a dozen hosts. The key part is that they are all well-respected skeptics, literally putting out content constantly. Ben seems to steer clear of such people and never mentions them. Well, I don't actually watch all of the line, David, but I do watch skeptics. This is actually pretty dishonest. And here, Ben seems to steer clear of such people and never mentions them. You see, this is what I've had. I've had quite a bit of this, actually, from people saying things like, well, Ben ignores the skeptics. He wants nothing to do with them. He's not interested in anything they have to say, which is outrageous, David. If that's what you're implying here, then you must realize that's utterly outrageous, because of all the people you could accuse of that, to accuse me of it is is a very, very serious matter when you consider that I have done so much more than most woo-woos do to hear their side of the story, to read their material, to address their points. I've even been to bloody QED. I went all the way to Manchester. I stayed in a hotel for 3 nights. I bought a ticket. I mean, for goodness sake, David. I mean, Ben seems to steer clear of such people and never mentions them. What? I mentioned, in the long version of my Skeptic talk, I mentioned probably a dozen people. What are you talking about? Mountain Goat says to David Smith, he's perhaps the best debater I've ever seen. Oh, yes. He's a mass debater. Sorry. Dillahunty's actually pretty good, yeah. I mean, Molly is probably slightly better. I would talk to Molly and I would talk to Matt Dillahunty, but I feel if he started playing the tricks that he plays on some of his other viewers, I'd end the call, because I'm not gonna. I dislike that about both of them. I mean, I don't think I see, because I'm experienced in broadcast and debate and things like that. I wouldn't make the mistakes that some of Matt's and indeed Molly's callers do. But you see, I'd still feel uncomfortable because I think they chastise these people for these mistakes, when really these are mistakes that everyone would make if they're not experienced with actually having discussions with people in a controlled setting on when there's an audience. And I think I don't like that. Gary Robinson says on 129. Oh, sorry, did I do all the comments on that? I did, yeah. Gary says on 129, Ben, mate, a bit off topic, but have you seen the trailer for the new Robert Eggers movie, Werewolf? I haven't, actually. No, I haven't. Let me just have a look. It's spelt a bit like the Beowulf, the Old English. It's a 2026 film called Werewolf, and it's spelled Werwulf. Oh my, let's have a look. I haven't seen it. No. I don't know if I can. I'll just get.
Child of God, do not.
Oh, that looks like a horror movie. Oh God.
Curse.
Oh my. No, nice. That looks quite good, Gary. That looks quite good. That looks pretty good. I like the look of that. That's like a kind of horror movie. But I haven't been to see the film. I'm not. But by the way, if anyone asks, I'm not going to go and see Odyssey. It looks dreadful. It's absolutely dreadful. I mean, Homer's Odyssey is one of the oldest and most definitive adventure hero stories ever created. In fact, it's the original hero adventure story, a character-driven kind of like epic. And I've seen the trailer and I've seen a couple of clips, and it looks dreadful, absolutely dreadful. Okay. And we have it, and now, and as I was just saying, Steve Polish he's refusing to give an inch on this. He's absolutely he will not. He's going to fight this corner. This is the hill he wants to die on. It really is. Please, why don't you? There's nothing to be ashamed of admitting you were wrong. I do it all the time. But Steve Polish won't. He says it was Samantha Cristoforetti's first trip to space, Ben, and there is nothing on the visible on 80% of the screen except the ISS. So that you could clearly see something in the background. And what's more, they come back when she's in the cupola. Do you remember that other video she did? Her outburst is entirely consistent with how she explains. I can almost see him gritting his teeth here. He's got me cornered. What am I going to do? And you only give this woo-woo sensational treatment because some idiot claimed it was UFO related, and the response was, calm down. They know we are here, which isn't in the audio translation. Right, okay. First things first, I disagree with you 100% on everything you say here. It's not consistent with her just simply enjoying the wonder of her first EVA, nor do I believe her explanation. I think it's a cover-up. And what's more, I never said that someone said, calm down, they know we are here. Firstly, they were speaking to each other in English, which is kind of lingua franca, because Samantha's Italian and her colleague, her fellow astronaut, was Russian. They were speaking to each other in English so they could both understand each other. It's the second language they both speak. And he didn't actually say that. He said something like, Shh, it's okay, stop, or something like that. He didn't say, calm down, they know we're here. He didn't say that, and I never said that she said that. And Steve carries on. I'd have mooted that a more sinister reaction might have been, what the hell was that? Like you did outside the pub in Pentach. That, oh my god, or what the hell was that? I mean, is there a difference? There's no evidence in the audio. She is told to be quiet. Well, if you watch it, you will see that the Russian, her colleague, the Russian astronaut, immediately responds to her outburst, as you call it, by in a way which it strikes me as a pacification. That's what it comes across as. So one has to wonder why her agitation didn't last longer and stretch to the question you asked when you were spooked by streetlights. Okay. The reason her agitation didn't last longer is because her training kicked in. At that point, her training kicked in, and she managed to refocus on what she was doing. She's been through full astronaut training. She's an experienced fighter pilot. That's in the Italian Air Force. That's why her agitation didn't last longer. I, on the other hand, am an ex-hospital porter and a woo-woo and a wide-eyed believer in all these things. So when I see streetlights on a hillside, I tend to sort of like dwell on it and go a bit crazy until as I found out the next day, that's what they were. Steve says, I get it, Ben. If someone says something has a woo-woo angle, in your world, that becomes fact. The difference between us is your belief bar only goes to faith. In the Apollo community, it reaches up to every definition of admissible evidence. Okay. Well, I 100% disagree with you on that. I have a bias, as do you. I don't believe these skeppers who say, our beliefs, I don't have a belief system anymore. And skepticism is not a belief system any more than the off switch is a TV channel. Bullshit. That's absolutely true. And I've disproved it again and again in my study of the skeptic movement. Steve, my recommendation is we move on from this, okay? If you don't want to admit you've been proved wrong, fine. If you want to double down by writing these comments, continuing to write these comments, and continuing to struggle to salvage this one little issue from our discussion, I mean, you carry on, mate. But I'd like you. All I can say is I disagree with everything you've written here. I've explained why. It's up to you. If you write another comment, I'm happy to answer it. But I request now that we move on. Oh, and we have here another Steve Polish comment here on 129, who says here, Chandrayaan-2 imaged Apollo 12 EVA footprints. That's third-party independent evidence, which isn't displaced by could-be theory relating to the ISRO. Well, because of course that was NASA, wasn't it? Well, as I said, I mean, I don't deny, first of all, that these images were published. I question whether they were real. I question if they were real, they were actually left by the Apollo astronauts, and it's not some kind of it's actually some kind of outdoor stage set created by someone on one of the lunar bases, which is possible. If you can't get the Indians to cooperate, or the Israelis, or the Chinese, or any of these other people who are sending rockets to the moon, you might want to create some kind of fake state, some kind of fake facsimile, which could be what Chandrayaan-2 actually imaged. You're inching towards the philosophical fool's position of I need to see it with my own eyes or it didn't happen, which ignores basic epistemological empiricism and puts whimsical faith above material evidence. Well, I totally disagree with that, Steve. I actually don't to say I need to see it with my own eyes or it didn't happen. Well, obviously, I believe I didn't see the Pentach incident with my own eyes, but I believed it happened because of other evidence. And indeed, I have studied other evidence where it relates to this particular subject, which is the Apollo moon landings. And to say it's ignoring epistemological empiricism and whimsical faith above material evidence, that's an extraordinary thing to say when you consider the amount of work that I and many others have put into this with the Apollo detectives. That I think is unfair. Steve says, the footprints are only just visible, but match the A12 post-mission EVA map. The obvious target for fakery by proxy would have been Apollo 11. It depends where the Chandrayaan craft was actually orbiting. It's possible that the Apollo 11 landing site may not have been visible from its position in lunar orbit. Also, you've got to ask yourself the question, Steve, how come the flag is there? You remember Jarrell White talking about how the flag would not have, the actual fabric of the flag would not have survived. The flagpole would have done, but the actual fabric of the flag should have been destroyed by micrometeor impacts. The notion that he says, and he's carrying on now, the notion that there's this cooperation between space agencies for hoax purposes, going back to Apollo, is an amateurish and convenient cop-out to avoid a really significant issue for the hoax side. Well, I think saying 2 + 2 = 4 is an amateurish and convenient cop-out to avoid stating the fact that 2 + 2 = 5, Steve. Gotcha. He carries on. Let's just forget that the USSR had sneaked missiles and troops onto Cuba and had no clue how to solve their N1 problems. Funny they were best buddies for the hoax, but they never asked NASA for engineering advice in return. Steve, I do recommend you read anything by Anthony Sutton on this matter. I mean, Sutton doesn't refer specifically to the space race. I don't think he actually mentions the space race in his National Suicide book, if I recall. But he does talk generally about the covert side of Cold War politics, which is very different from the public side. The public side is totally different in in that respect. How am I doing for time? Okay. Saturn V had a military origin. Yes, German to be precise. It was an upgraded design from the rockets that actually killed many people in London, which Werner von Braun designed. And NASA beat the USSR to a heavy lift vehicle, which opened up all manner of possibilities for what hardware could be placed in orbit. That's right. I mean, of course, the Soviets were not far behind. They eventually developed various rockets, and indeed the Russians carry on today. But it's true that according to the official engineering schematics, the Saturn V was the perfect system for the lunar mission. Although I know even Phil Kautz just doubts that. Marcus Allen did as well. But the fact of the matter is that the N1 rocket actually blew up before the launch. I don't know if anyone was killed. It wasn't actually a launch. I think it was just some kind of test. And Steve says the first people motivated to shout about fakery were the Soviets, but they did no such thing. Steve, how could you be? Steve, that is excessively naive, even based on your position. I mean, we've even discussed this. We've even discussed you've actually mentioned that there was cooperation between the superpowers during the Cold War, and it goes deeper than you think. So come on, you don't really believe that, do you? You don't believe that there were so many reasons why they wouldn't say anything. I mean, if for no other reason, it was actually in the interests of the Soviets for the Americans to be allowed to catch up. This was a kind of tortoise and hare situation. All right. Because let's face it, I mean, for the first decade of the space race, the Soviet Union had a decisive lead, getting all the major firsts up to that point, and the Americans were left very, very far behind. Now, really, a manned lunar landing is the only major milestone left. Once you've done that, it's trips to the planets, and we still haven't managed that. That's still like God knows how long far away. Okay, maybe it's not possible with public release technology, and only through the secret space program, which of course they won't declassify. So really, this was the last place in space we could go at that time, and for the Americans to achieve it showed that it essentially made the race closer. It showed, look, my God, the Yanks are catching us up. What are we going to do? Well, that makes it easier to justify expenses. It makes it easier to apply for funding from the government for the various grants and the various resources that the Soviet establishment were going to give to the space race. I mean, is it possible, that they were losing interest? Is it possible that the Politburo were actually losing interest in this whole thing, saying, look, it's done. We've won. if the Soviets had got to the moon first, that would be it. That would be like they think it's all over. It is now, and they didn't. It's in their interest that the Americans were to get that foot back in the door, because then they could, the space agencies could go to the Politburo and say, look, you need to give us more money. We need more technology. We need more scientists, because look, you thought they were all the way back there like the tortoise, and we were resting under the tree like the hare. Well, they're right on our tail. So that's one reason. There's many, many others. I don't have time to talk to you all about them now. But Steve says here, let me remind you, the only people consistently caught lying about Apollo and rejecting evidence any court would accept are its hoax proponents. Well, I don't think that's the case. I think I've discussed that. We've discussed that many times in our series of videos. This is why none of them can define a reasonable standard of proof which does not already reach the bar for legal and scientific acceptance. All right, well, that's a fair point. What would convince us? What would actually what would falsify our hypothesis? That is a fair point. We've never really answered that, have we? We've never really answered that. As Steve says, it finishes with, there's not one crumb of material evidence of secretly filmed events later presented to the public as a mission. I don't agree. I don't agree. Right, basis 2026 part 2 of 2, and Gary Robinson says, the lady didn't find you to give you her number before she left. Maybe she looked for you and couldn't find you. Always get the number right there and then. Oh, right, yeah, this was this lady I was a bit flirting. I was flirting with slightly, mildly. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, she can get back in touch with me if she wants. I'll probably see her at future events. She knows who I am online. She can kind of like come and meet me for. Anyway, it's not a big deal. I mean, we weren't making arrangements for a date. We were just being a bit flirty with each other. Okay. 129 EA Audits. How are you, EA? Nice to see you again. I was on EA's channel a while ago talking about the Pentuck incident. And he says here, when I think now of disclosure, it's about dirtbags like Ellen-DeGenerate living up in the Cotswolds at the moment, eating. So I can't, sorry, EA, I can't say that on YouTube. It's borderline Fed posting here, but I will basically doing really, really nasty things. And he says, and how sorry I am to Gabriel Rico Jimenez, who told us all about it outside that place. We're talking about this issue to do with a scandal involving, it's kind of a two-word thing. It begins, the first part of the word is an Italian savory pastry dish. And the second part of the word is a device for regulating access to an outdoor enclosure or garden. I put those two words together, and that's what we're talking about. Back in 2009, says EA, before going missing and never seen again. And hang on, looks like I got my channel back. I didn't expect that. Well, look, congratulations, EA. But, you know, I mean, obviously, like, some of the things you say here seem to be courting. I mean, I don't want to have a go at you because it's not your fault, because you should be allowed to discuss these issues. But you kind of like, you are courting and provoking them when you are too blunt and too outspoken. This doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong, all right? You're entitled to say what you like, with the exception of like specific and original laws about like threats, you know, defamation, shouting fire in a crowded theater, that kind of thing. And I don't believe YouTube should be censoring us over these issues, but it's easier if you use kind of code words or do what I do. I mean, what I do is I speak very, very obliquely when I'm on YouTube about these things, as I have just now. And when you're on Alt Tech, it's best you can be a bit more get yourself an Odyssey, BitChute, or Rumble channel where you can be a bit more explicit. All right, but it's great to see you again, and well done for getting your channel back. Right, changing times. First, says the wow signal. How are you, wow? You are wowing me. You really, really are. Okay, so we're really just 33 minutes. Have I haven't had a kind of like a breakdown, have I, or something like that? Anyway, and Neil Peel says the final edit came out well, Ben. I'm glad. I'm just wondering. See, I've been going for 33 minutes, which seems a little bit too short. I'm wondering if I froze up at some point. Anyway, I'll fill it in with the edit if that's the case. Changing times. Third, says Mountain Goat. Bronze medal on his way to the GOAT. But bronze is better than now. We have David Smith on disclosure. It was a long one here on disclosure. I mean, I knew the skeptics would be kind of like reared up over this because, and the reason is because I discussed the skeptics quite closely. David says, redefining skepticism doesn't mean you've refuted it. I never said it did. I said I redefined the term skeptic because I believe it's been misdefined. That's not refuting it. And how do you refute skepticism? I'm not refuting skepticism. I'm analyzing the skeptic movement, and I am and giving you an assessment of it and refuting some of the things they claim. Refuting skepticism? I don't know what you mean. And he says, redefine. Does it just means you've been dishonest? No, I think you're being dishonest, David. This seems to be a thing you do with everything you get stuck on. Okay, it seems to be a thing you do with everything you get stuck on. Well, firstly, I've been stuck. I don't know what you mean by being stuck on something. And so you need to define. I don't think I'm being dishonest. I think it's I think some things you say I think are you are dishonest, but it's something I do with everything I get stuck on. All right. Oh, here you invent new definition of things because they create problems for your beliefs. This isn't a path to truth. It's one to continued irrationality and delusion. Okay. Well, a lot of what you say here is rhetoric. I'm not going to address that. But I invent new definition for things because they create problems for my beliefs. I don't understand. I'm redefining skepticism because I think it has been misdefined, and I've explained that. What do you mean by redefining skepticism doesn't mean you've refuted it? It means you've been dishonest. I don't mean by redefining skepticism. I mean, it's redefining skepticism is kind of like, I'm not trying to redefine skepticism. All right. This is an analysis of the skeptic movement. What I've done, and I have a much longer version of it as well in other videos. It's an analysis and assessment of the skeptic movement from outside, which I know is not done very often in this world. I don't see how I could refute something that I'm analyzing. Does David Attenborough refute the gorillas in the jungle? I mean, I'm not sure what you want. I don't understand what you mean. What I do is I do refute some of the claims made by this movement, yes, but you need to be a bit more precise if that is your point. And I mean, the last sentence here is just mindless rhetoric. You know, this isn't the path of truth; it's one to continued irrationality and delusion. Okay, well, saying 2 + 2 = 4 is not the path to good mathematics. It's one to continued irrationality and delusion, escaping the fact that 2 + 2 = 5. There you go. I proved you wrong. Okay, I don't know who this Mark Pilkington guy is, but it sounds like he's skeptical of some UFO things, some things UFO related. He doesn't sound like a full-on skeptic, though. Okay, well, Mark Pilkington, I'm surprised you've never heard of him. He is a skeptic, or he's kind of a skeptic and backslapper. I mean, I can't work out which it is. I think he's a bit of both. I mean, there are, as I said, skeptics and backslappers are different things, but there is a kind of Venn diagram where there's quite a large Vesica Pisces. And Mark is somewhere in there, I would say. But yeah, he's not a complete disbeliever in UFOs. He actually does accept there as a phenomenon, but he takes the backslapper line, the general backslapper line over the whole, the main phenomenon. Okay. He says here, David says, I keep offering you examples of full-on skeptics, but you refuse to talk to them. Many of them would love to talk about conspiracies. The reason I think you won't do this is because you know if you repeat nonsense about what you think skepticism really is or what skeptics really think, they will pull apart those claims and may embarrass you. All right. Why do you think that? You know, you give examples. Well, you've given one example of specifically Matt Dillahunty. That's the only one I think I've heard you talk about. And you seem to be a bit fixated on seeing me talk to him for some reason. And why, I don't know why him specifically. I don't know why Michael Marshall or Tristan Swale is not good enough for you. You don't explain that. I'd love to talk to them as well. I mean, I'm quite happy to talk to skeptics. I mean, you keep saying I won't talk to full-on skeptics, but later on you describe yourself as a full-on skeptic in this comment. So I don't get it. I don't get you, Mike. I don't get you at all, David. I really don't. And you say the idea you've got that you can know the minds of others is delusions of grandeur. Says the man who's just been doing that to me. You're the one who has delusions of grandeur, David, here. And he says, when you mention things like your implant acting up, it's clearly you who needs these things to be real, Ben. Oh, right. It's clearly you who needs these things to be real. All right. Well, I'm just mentioning a medical condition I have. That's all. I mean, I do sometimes wonder what it would be like, actually, for me to live in a world in which this phenomena just didn't happen, where the things I talk about just didn't exist. What would that be like? Because, I mean, superficially, that world wouldn't be much. That wouldn't be superficially in terms of our everyday experiences, and that world wouldn't be terribly different to the one we're in now. And I mean, the skeptics believe we do live in that kind of world incorrectly. In fact, our skepticism, if you want to go into definitions, and I don't apologize for defining it, the skeptic movement is a group of people who believe that to be the case. It's quite cultic, actually. The answer is I don't know, because, if I'm honest, because I suppose because the woo-woo side of things is such a central part of my identity and experience of life, and indeed my outlook, that I think if that was taken from me, I'd be a completely different person. I would be totally different personality-wise in every single way. Okay, I mean, he goes here. And you say, as a full-on skeptic myself, I'd love them to be real, maybe even more than you. So once again, you are saying that you can know my mind and claim it's delusions of grandeur, and then you're just doing the same thing, and you're also baiting me into trying to doing the same thing with you. But I don't put my entire belief set into having them to be true. All right, well, as I said, this is not a part of your identity in the same way as mine. But I am actually stating quite clearly that there's a reason why I think these things are real, and I've been into details about that. So I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure why that's a problem. Because I mean, I am actually explaining myself here. I'm not just like stubbornly stamping my feet. And he says here, David, I've left you comments before where you've not answered, said you'd think about it and get back to me. They're nothing. These were comments directly relating to your misrepresentation of topics involving logic and skepticism. At this point, your behavior is like when a religious person who denounces evolution is constantly corrected in their mistakes, but continues to claim they know what they're talking about. If reality doesn't conform with your beliefs, it's not reality that is at fault. All right. Well, look. Okay, well, I apologize if you left comments which I have not answered. I apologize. Please feel free to post them again. I've recommended to you several times that you back up your comments in like a notepad, simply because YouTube sometimes makes them disappear. Please feel free to post them again. All right. And if you want me to respond to you directly to what you claim is my misrepresentation of topics involving logic and skepticism, I shall do so. But if I do so, please don't pretend that I haven't. Just accept that I have. Now, as far as how you compare me to a religious person denouncing evolution, I don't know about that, because Richard Dawkins has said he talked to a young Earth creationist once, and he said it was like talking to a guy who's like O'Brien and Winston Smith in 1984. He actually used this exact metaphor, trying to claim that 2 + 2 = 5. And I've used that metaphor before in a more light-hearted way. If reality doesn't conform to your beliefs, then it's not reality is a fault. I agree, but I'm actually. It's not about reality conforming to my beliefs. I'm explaining why I think my beliefs are real. And he carries on. And I love how you're now shifting the goalposts on things like disclosure. Am I? I'm shifting the goalposts on things like disclosure. Now it won't be an event, but it's a drip feed. All right. Well, you say I'm shifting the goalposts on things like disclosure. No. If you recall what I actually said, I said I was wrong about it in the first place. All right. Even the way I describe it in my book, Roswell Rising, a novel of disclosure, available at all good bookshops price now, price £10. All right. I describe a certain fictional disclosure scenario in that book, which I think was incorrect. So I'm not shifting the goalpost. If I was shifting the goalpost, I wouldn't admit I was wrong. So I'm not sure why you think I'm shifting the goalpost. This is a cult-like mentality, Ben. Well, not if I'm not shifting the goalpost. X didn't happen, but don't worry. It's kind of sort of happened in ways that are just difficult to detect. Trust me. Same with the sphere. Oh, this one is fake, but others are real. Comical. Well, I don't know why you think that's comical, because I actually explain why I think something didn't happen, but it sort of happened in ways that are difficult to detect. I actually explain exactly why that is. I'm not asking you to trust me. I'm saying specifically why it appears that something different is going on to how I expected it to be. And this is not unusual. I mean, things very rarely turn out exactly how we expect them to be. This is quite common in life. Now, you're talking about the boogosphere here. Okay, right. This one's fake, but the others are real. Okay, well, this is actually a situation in which I did change my mind. So you say here sometimes that reality doesn't conform with my beliefs and things like that. And you say things like, things, if people pull apart my claims, they embarrass me. The path to truth, it is not one of continued irrationality and delusion. Okay, well, this is a situation in which I changed my mind, okay? Are you ready? Okay. I think it was either Stephen Greenstreet or Patrick who tweeted an image of the boogosphere, and someone had drilled into it, and they'd found things inside which were completely normal, like batteries, and there were capacitors, and there was like an electromagnetic motor, an electromagnet and a magnetron or something like that. Okay, they found completely normal things. This is clearly made in a workshop. It was man-made by somebody in a workshop for the purposes of passing it off as a real ET device. Okay, and I actually said that. I think my words were, I'm not going to look it up now, this is disappointing but not unexpected. And Patrick retweeted it and things like that. Now, later on, someone actually explained to me that's not the original boogosphere. It's something different. It's a completely separate sphere. Okay, so basically, yeah, this one's fake, but the other is real. Why is that comical? I made a mistake. In this case, I was actually taking a skeptic line when I made a mistake. Would you do that? Similar with crop circles, says David. Now, of course, humans make crop circles, but they're being encouraged by aliens. This is laughable, or what modern kids might call cope. Literally anything anyone does can be said to have aliens encouraging them to do it. All right. Right. I actually agree with that. And if you're quoting me, then you're not paying attention, because I never said that. This is what Matthew Williams has always claimed, and Miles is now claiming it because he's just done a big interview with Matthew Williams, and Matthew seems to have persuaded him. All right, I've never claimed that. I don't believe. I know that humans make some crop circles, but they don't make them all. And whether humans are encouraged to make them by aliens or not, I don't know. But I do know that some are made directly without human intervention. So that's not me you're talking about there. I doubt it's worth me pointing out more flaws and fallacies. Well, he says here, and you'll just deny them and carry on. All right. Right. Well, the one you've just pointed out, I am denying because I didn't say it. I have a different view, a completely different view. Okay. So if you can point them out if you want, but I'm not going to just deny them and carry on. I'll explain to you why I think they're correct or incorrect. I'm not totally against what you've said here. You've actually made some good points. The point you made about the unfalsifiable hypothesis of the Apollo detectives is a good one, and it does need to be addressed. Okay, so if I think you're right about something, I'll say so. Okay, here we go. Either you'll end up with more views, and eventually someone who exposes BS for what it is will take an interest in pointing all this out in their content. That's kind of what you're doing, isn't it, David? Or you'll stay a bit more niche, spreading your incorrect conclusions to rooms of people who share some of your delusions. All right. You're talking to a guy who spoke at an event organized by Chris French called Seriously Suspicious. I spoke at a conference organized by the one and only Chris French, the Mr. Super Skeptic. All right. So I don't know why of all the people you accuse of this, why me? when you leave other people who really deserve it maybe more than I do alone. I don't understand you, David. I really don't. I really don't. It's baffling. It's baffling. Okay, changing times. We have proselytizing Orthodox Pentecostal trans rabbit back again. I've missed you. Welcome back. Who says, I think you did well. So do I, Rabbit. Thank you very much. And Neil Peel says, thank you. And proselytizing says, I meant Ben. I didn't watch anyone else. Oh, right. Okay. And Neil says, quite rightly, well, to keep the comments stable, you better watch my bit too. And proselytizing says, will do. Well done, Rabbit. Yeah. I'll do watch Neil as well. Changing times, pride and dignity to all, says Gary Robinson. His honorary hospital porter statement. Changing times, and we have the one and only Ellis Taylor. Yay! I'm going to be seeing Ellis soon. I'll tell you more closer to the time, but I'm actually going to be meeting up with Ellis, making it be interesting. And Ellis says, nice one, clear and informative. Cheers, both. Andy was right, Neil. You are a class speaker. I hope your injuries soon mend, Ben. Thanks, mate. Cheers. It was basically a cracked rib, and it is pretty much okay now, I think. It lasted about a week. But Mountain Goat says it's on the same video. It sounds like a bruised rib, not a cracked rib. Okay, well, I'm afraid I don't know, Mountain Goat, because I never got it x-rayed or anything. So I'm not going to go and sit in A&E for like 6 hours just to have something confirmed or denied, which I already know makes no real difference. And seeing as I've had these kind of injury before, I know what you do. You just wait for it to go away. But whichever it was, it only lasted about a week and it got better. Mountain Goat says here on Changing Times, do you believe in psychic surgery? I do, yes. No, not all. I mean, of course, there's several. I mean, there's like James Randi actually exposed some of the fake ones to his credit. But there's John of God, who is different, I think. And Neil actually says here, the ones that often claim it have been suspected of fraud. Yeah, but there are others that I think are more credible. And Changing Times and Mountain Goat says, Neil is excellent, a good orator. Do you think? I believe Ken Webster is telling the truth. Oh, nice one, Mountain. Well, I think he is too. I don't see why he or his partner would make it up. The lady, I can't remember what her name is. Why would they make that up? I mean, they don't gain anything. They're certainly not looking for fame and fortune. In fact, they actually had a word at the ASAP conference, actually said to Neil, oh, have you got any footage of me? And please don't publish it. And Neil actually edited the video. So, yeah. So, yeah, Neil is good, isn't it? And Neil says here, thank you. And it says, my research into beings coming out of fireplaces in other incidents strongly correspond, to the being known as 2109 coming out of Lucas's fireplace in the 16th century. So I think he's telling the truth, although he admits he doesn't fully know what's going on. And Mountain Goat says, absolutely, Neil. Yeah, in my view, I don't believe they're talking to an entity from the past. I don't believe that's possible. But they are talking to an entity from another parallel universe, which is actually pretty much the same as Earth's own past. Now, the future being is different because you can actually communicate with the future, although they can't necessarily communicate back. Same video, Mountain Goat. Good talk, Ben. Lol, funny pic as a timestamp here. What does it say? Let's have a look. Let's give him a love heart there. Oh, that's the... It is funny, yeah. The two scientists staring at the sky with telescopes, and they're like, "What's going on here?" I mean, we're looking for these aliens. Where are they? Oh my God, where are they? And they're right above you, mate. They're right above you. They're right behind you, having a wee in the bushes. A Mountain Goat says, "Brilliant mainstream press." Yeah, I was actually pleasantly surprised with how they covered it. 129 and Blue Beam says, best wishes for poor Gary M. Hopefully I can live a normal life one day and enjoy an honorable retirement. %. All right. I'm sorry, Gary M. Who's Gary M? Oh God, I'm sorry if I've forgotten who you are. But Blue Beam says, yeah, best wishes for poor Gary M. Hopefully I can live a normal life one day and enjoy an honourable retirement. Right, I'm not sure. You mean, so you start with talking about Gary, and then this Gary guy, and then you start talking about yourself. Well, if you're not well, I hope you can live a normal life and have an honourable retirement too, Blue Bean. It's difficult in this day and age when the government want to take all your money, but there you go. And Steve Mumbling is here on Changing Times. And he says, we certainly don't know we're alone. Oops, hang on, what's this? Appears I've got a double comment again. Oh, no problem. We certainly don't know we're not alone as fact. Yes, we do, Steve. There's certainly zero tangible evidence to support ET's ever coming here. Wrong. DeGrasse Tyson doesn't believe we've been visited by aliens any more than I do. His book is tongue-in-cheek. All right, I've not read it, Steve, but I've heard him talking. And although he doesn't actually commit to the hypothesis, you're right about that. He's certainly sounding like he's wavering, and I think I know why. You have no chance of making Cox look like a knobber. Steve, I already have, mate. I already have. If anyone tells you they're a time traveler from the future, ask them for next week's winning Powerball numbers. Believe me, that will be my first question, Steve. It really will. But as I said, I don't believe time travelers from the future exist because I don't believe time travel from the future is possible. Any more than you do. The big difference between SETI and ufologists is SETI are scientists looking for actual evidence. Ufologists are gullible fanboys who lap up any old science fiction rubbish as truth. No, Steve, I don't agree with you. I think both SETI and ufologists can study their subject in a scientific way. I believe, however, that scientists are actually looking for evidence in the wrong place and are part of a culture that actually blinkers them from looking at certain other kinds of evidence. Some ufologists are gullible, some of them are idiots, because it's not like official, and it's kind of like a fringe science or so-called pseudoscience. You know, it's very, very different. We're not as controlled or regulated as SETI scientists are. But certainly your accusation is certainly fair for some people who call themselves ufologists, but definitely not all. Definitely not all. You've got no right to claim that at all. I think that's the end of an hour, so we're going to stop and then carry on again in a minute. Okay, guys, we're set to go hour number 2. I'm going to carry on the same thread I was on before. Mountain Goat says, I'm a time traveler from the future, and it doesn't work like that. You can't necessarily jump that quickly to and fro to get Powerball numbers. Time dilation doesn't allow it. It's just not sensible to mess with anyone's future. It can create a temporal paradox. Mountain Goat. The thing is, everything you do is going to create a temporal paradox. You can't, just obviously, like if you're talking to somebody like from the future, and they're like, and you give them the lottery numbers, right? Obviously, that will change your fortune because you'll become very rich. This actually happens in the second Back to the Future film, where Biff, the school bully, becomes very rich because he gets hold of these records. This basically the American Almanac, which has records of all these things, so he can like put bets on beforehand. But the thing is, he's just turning up and breathing and moving. It's the butterfly effect. Will make changes. Your presence alone, whatever it is, will change things, and that's where you get into causality paradox. You get the bootstrap paradox. All these things, which means that time travel from the future to the past cannot be possible. It cannot be possible. And Neil Peel says, bollocks, power balls to that. Where's my flux capacitor? Exactly. Where's my hovering skateboard? I'd love to have one of those things. And we have here Mac City. Mac City is someone I've not seen before. Have I? I'm not sure. Who says on Changing Times, history has shown us that advanced civilizations often exploit underdeveloped ones. We've seen in various colonial, imperial, and even modern contexts. This exploitation took many forms, including economic domination, resource extraction, and cultural imposition. Yeah. I mean, the history of the world is very much like that. Yes. Are we hoping that if aliens ever came to our world, they won't follow the same pattern and will just be benign? That is one huge gamble to take with billions of lives, and trying to contact other life forms should probably be left to after we have actually established our own colonies and space travel. Okay, I agree with the first. I agree with the first bit of that paragraph, Max City. We're hoping that they're going to be benign, but I don't think we should assume it. And indeed, you say would be or will be. You're using future, and we're using future and conditional tenses, but actually the correct tenses you should use are is and was. They are here, they have been here, and so we use the past and present tense here. And the answer so we already know the answer to this question, and it is no, they are not all benign. And indeed, if they ever like presented themselves in greater numbers and they decided to act in a more sort of overt, influential way, who knows what our position would be? Who knows what the position would be? And you actually advise us not to, when there's a gamble with billions of lives at stake, maybe we shouldn't contact other life forms until we actually an intergalactic, powerful, spacefaring civilization ourselves. Now, funnily enough, Stephen Hawking, of all people, used to say this. The thing is, though, it's a bit of a fait accompli because, you say maybe we shouldn't try to contact them. Unfortunately, they've already contacted us, and they did a long time ago. So it's academic, really, Max City. Good comment, though. Thank you. Okay, so Theo's Watch Party review. First, says Mountain Goat. Finally, the goat gets his title back. He's getting his first gold tinfoil hat for a long time. Well done. And Mountain Goat actually asked me, what's the song at the beginning? Please type. It's actually called Aurora Borealis by Bird Creek. And I actually used the same tune as the theme to the Gas Spanner. I think it just seems to fit. It's a lovely track, actually. It's really beautiful. And indeed, Mountain Goat says, I've asked this before, I think. It was saved on my library. Oh, good. Well, it is a great song. It's a great song, yeah. Same thing. And Neil says, didn't you do this film before, Ben? Maybe you just mentioned it. Well, I've mentioned it several times, Neil, but I think you may be confusing this with the intro segment I did a couple of months ago. Mountain Goat says here on Ben Emlyn-Jones live at Bufog. This is an old one from a couple of years back. And Neil and Mountain Goat says, do you support Protect the Dolls? What? Do you support Protect the Dolls? I have no idea what you're talking about. Could you clarify, Mountain Goat? Right, so Cynthia's review, and Steve Polish says, I agree, Ben. Goodness me, we don't often do that. But he says, I agree, Ben. Identity theft does involve the coroner, family, close friends, dental records, and so on. Pretty unlikely. I mean, it's not as if he were Paul McCartney, eh? Oh, touche, Steve Polish, touche. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I think you can enjoy this particular film or the book that comes from it if you suspend a bit of disbelief. You have to suspend a bit of disbelief. But if you can do that, then it's actually quite amusing. It's kind of what-if scenario. Supposing he somehow did get away with it, So why didn't you stay in Portering then? Oh, right. Well, the answer to that is in an article I wrote called, I think it was, let me see if I can find it. It's a long story. I was actually dismissed. I was discharged from the NHS. Let me just see if I can find the article concerned. I'll let you see it. Here we go. Oh, hang on. Okay. I'm just looking for some keywords now. See if I can find it. Oh, it's called 10 Years On or something. Here we go. Oh, here we go. All right. Yeah, 13 years on. And just read this. All right. It's on HPWA blog, and it's HPWA. So it's HPANWO-HPWA.blogspot.com. It's all in this article here. Regular viewers are familiar with this story, so you won't take. You just read that, and it kind of will give you the lowdown. Oh, we got Jungle Surfer on Changing Times. My goodness me. Now, funnily enough, Jungle Surfer has a real voice, just like my Steve Mumbling voice. If you go to his channel, you'll see what I mean. Jumbo Jet is 17 meters long, flies at 9 kilometers, 30,000 feet. ISS space station bullshitter. Flies at 4,000 feet, 4,000 kilometers, and all right, 4,000 k, 400 k, 400 kilometers up. Yeah, 109 meters long, minus 19 like the C word disease. A jumbo is very small at 9 kilometers. So how do people see the ISS BS at 400 kilometers? I think it's because, all right, because I know you're a flat earther here. I think it's to do with the fact that it has some kind of ability to reflect light in a way the jumbo doesn't. The aircraft doesn't reflect light in the same way. That's a good question, though. I'll tell you what, I'll ask. Let me ask that fount of wisdom, Google AI. The things I do for you people, honestly. Even the flatties. I mean, even the flurfers, I'm willing to like entertain. I mean, some people just go, "Oh, I can't bear to speak to you." How come? Okay. Oh, I'll just show you it because I've done entire videos about when I do Google and stuff. Google AI. Here we go. All right. So let's ask Google AI a question. How come we can see the ISS when a flying aircraft is far less visible? Oh yeah, high flying. I'll specify that. How come we can see the ISS when a high-flying aircraft is far less visible? Let's see what Google AI says. The International Space Station is far more visible than a high-flying aircraft because of its immense size, highly reflective materials, and extreme altitude, which allows it to catch direct sunlight against a dark night sky. Okay. And you can read sunlight reflection. The ISS reflects sunlight while ground below is in darkness. Aircraft fly much lower and sit inside the Earth's shadow at night. Physical size, ISS is basically bigger. Reflective, as you say yourself, Jungle. It's reflective, solar rays, metallic structures, aircraft paint absorbs and scatters more light. Anodized metal, spacecraft materials are optimized to bounce light. No atmospheric obstruction. There you go. Okay, there's a lot more here. You can see smaller satellites, actually, because it orbits at 400 kilometers, 250 miles. It experiences sunset much better. Okay, so there's your answer, Jungle Surfer. It looks like Google AI is I think is a globalist agent. And it's great to see you again. Thanks for commenting. Right, Ben Emlyn-Jones at the West Usk Lighthouse Conference 2026. The wow signal gets the gold. Well done. And Nothing As It Seems quotes me here on the same video. Why should aliens see us as different to animals? The correct quote is other animals, because we are an animal. And it says the answer is aliens may define our sapience by metrics we lack, such as hive mind connectivity, telepathic empathy, and inability to master higher dimensions. Well, first of all, there's no specific evidence that other non-human animals are completely absent of those things. We know for a fact that cats, for example, seem to have the ability to see things like ghosts much more than we are. We know that animals have more acute senses in many ways. Many animals can see wavelengths beyond visible light, for example, and indeed hear sounds at volumes and frequencies that are far lower or higher than the human one. But at the same time, again, these are assumptions, but who knows? I mean, we don't know what goes on inside the head. What we do know, what is obvious and what is pretty obvious, I think, Nothing As It Seems, is they do sometimes treat us in the same ways they treat other animals. In terms of negative behavior, abductions, mutilations, stuff like that. It does happen. So at least some of these particular beings are actually far more. I'm just going to get up now. I can see. I think I know exactly where the next comment's coming from. So I'll get myself some notes up. And Steve Polish says Sally Morgan was rightly compensated for Paul Zennon's false claims. However, she might have enhanced her reputation as a psychic had she seen her 2.9 million tax bill coming before it wiped her out. Oh dear. Well, these days, everyone gets everyone loses almost everything to tax. PDFs on the Randy versus Simpson suit clearly state that the case was initially dismissed, then affirmed as being properly dismissed after appeal. It wasn't settled. Not for the first time, you find the sensational angle while ignoring the facts. You say skeptics place undue focus on you getting stuff wrong, which is your prerogative, but it is equally reasonable to be critical where, in this case, the documented facts can be found in seconds. Steve, do you really think I haven't read those documents? I have read them, and I know very well. But the fact of the matter is, though, dismissed after appeal, and why was this not published? I suspect that something else was going on. I think there was some kind of settlement that was not mentioned in those documents. In fact, I say quite clearly that those particular documents, those PDFs that I showed you, actually didn't include any kind of settlement because they were initial court. They were initial summons. They were not a court report. They were not the minutes of the court. They were not the court's post-case report. Okay, the case was dismissed, then affirmed as being properly dismissed after appeal, yet not one mention of this was made on the JREF forum. It was not mentioned on the CFI forum. It was not mentioned anywhere. Why was this not portrayed as a victory? You see, and so what you say at the end here is just completely unfair to me. And Steve says this may be accidental, but you said you said this at two events. Yes, because it's not accidental, and I've just explained. And he says so. At best, this suggests your research is sloppy, and at worst, bordering on dishonest. Okay. Well, I've just explained to you why that's not the case. So again, if these things really were dismissed after appeal, etc., this would be trumpeted from the highest rooftops. This would be holding up the World Cup, because the sacred $1 million challenge was actually contested in court, and the JREF won essentially. But of course, that's not what actually happened, is it, Steve? You know that, because otherwise that outcome wouldn't actually be the case. Wherever you got your information from, it's false. It certainly wasn't from the documents that I have. It does appear that despite your protest that there is no dishonesty or lucrative scamming going on, my protest that there's no dishonesty or lucrative scamming going on, have I protested that? When did I protest that, Steve? There are now many examples of lying, fake spheres. Well, we've already discussed that. Bogus crop circles, already addressed that. Homemade mysterious pipes. Are these the ones that I was invested in being real? When someone said I was emotionally invested in James's pipe being real. When I made about 3 or 4 videos explaining why I wasn't, and someone either didn't watch those videos or they just ignored what I said. Erroneous free energy projects, such as, I suppose you're talking about Raza. Again, I'm not so sure it's erroneous, and indeed, there are some that are erroneous. I don't believe half of these. I don't believe the medieval perpetual motion machines were real, but please be specific about which one you're talking about. And manufactured UFO material. Again, I don't think it's all manufactured. I don't suggest this is all cynical and illegal, but there are at least some people selling fiction as faith-based anecdotal fact. You are correct, and I've never denied that, Steve. I've never denied that. This is why we're skeptics. Our critical thinking and habitual questioning is entirely logical, justified, and borne out by the fakery even you admit. Okay. Well, now you're claiming, after saying I protested that there was no dishonesty and lucrative scamming, you're now saying that you admit that I admit this. So which is it? I mean, you're contradicting yourself here. And I don't actually disagree with what you say here at the end. I really don't. But I don't see how it applies to us. And indeed, when it comes to people selling fiction as faith-based anecdotal fact, as you yourself actually give a perfect example of the Daily Mail doing that very thing. They sell fiction as faith-based faith-based anecdotal fact from the skeptic side. They say quite clearly Sally Morgan was doing something. She was accused of doing something for which there was no evidence to accuse her. That's a perfect definition of what you're saying here. Okay. West Usk 4th, says Mountain Goat. Oh, well, mentioned in dispatches. You're catching up, mate. You're catching up. Mountain Goat says here on basis 1 of 2. Right. Oh, right. This is I know what this is to do with the Botley flyover body. And Mountain Goat says AI says no records of the body found in 1977. It's actually mentioned in Colin Board's book Modern Mysteries of Britain. Mountain Goat. I'll try and it's somewhere on my shelf. I think it's buried under my suitcases. Sorry, I'm itching. My leg's itching. I don't actually know exactly where in the book it is. There's a chapter in there on disappearances and mysterious deaths. I'll see if I can find the details for you for next time. Okay, and we have here there's on 1 of 2 bases. Mountain Goat says wonderful views. What's this? Let's have a look. That's when we're going along the Vale of Pewsey on the bus. Wonderful views. And yes, I read Nexus magazine like an economist reads the Financial Times. Well done, Mountain Goat. You're very well informed. Mountain Goat has another one here. It's 2412. Wow, somebody sounded annoyed. What's this then? Let's have a look.
I'm not scared of trees.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was the guy. Well, because I disobeyed the sign. Yeah. Right, here we go. And we have here another timestamp from Mountain Goat. I have one of them in my living room. I inherited it when I moved in 2019. I think the previous tenant nicked it from Spoons. And this is, what's this?
Weird sort of spiderweb chairs, which is quite cool.
Oh, nice.
That basically means when it pisses down.
Yeah. I'll possibly be better if I put this on share screen for this particular segment of the video. Yes. All right. Okay. And here we have Mountain Goat saying, did you challenge the guy behind Colin? It said no smoking in that area. Let's have a look.
To be fair, aren't we?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no smoking in the air, and here he is puffing away. Well spotted. Well spotted indeed. I didn't. Oh, hang on, where are we now? Oh, bloody hell! We scroll down. I didn't challenge him. Firstly, I didn't. I don't recall that. I mean, you spotted that. I didn't spot it. Secondly, you know, I don't. I wouldn't make a fuss about it because I actually don't. It's just, it's not my place. I'm not the security guard or the staff in the pub, and I actually don't like. I don't like the the banning of smoking in the open air. I think it's wrong. Okay, right. West Uskin, it's Paul Wills who says here, Ben, once again, a big thank you for taking us on one of your now legendary reportages. They are very much appreciated, and as always, they are a very enjoyable watch. Cheers, mate. You're very welcome, Paul. I'm glad you enjoyed it. We've got a thread here now by Paul Wills on West Usk. Ben, an enjoyable talk as always. Your enthusiasm always shines through when you're talking on subjects regarding the paranormal. But please, mate, can you get a T-shirt that fits you when you next do your talk? Well done. Great talk. Great, mate. Yeah, I was slightly not very well dressed there. I had a bit of a wardrobe problem. My gut was sticking out the bottom, I know. And David says, the aliens are shrinking his shirts. Don't be such a skeptic. Paul laughs at that, as does Mountain Goat. Excuse me. West Usk. Ralph Winter. Nice one, Ben. Wonderful vid. Thank you very much, Ralph. Much appreciated. And Paul Whittle says on West Usk, Ben, this has to be the best location for a conference that you have ever attended. This one and the one with the old tree that you like to go and talk to. Absolutely beautiful location. And oh, the barge. Yeah, that's actually the Wake and Aware conference at the High Elms Manor, which I've just come back from, and there's going to be a video about that very soon. Yes, they're both very beautiful locations, and there's many others like the Barge Inn, yeah. Also, of course, I think the Indian Wells is lovely as well. I hope to go back there soon. Yeah, they do. I think we as wee woo-woos do try to select nice places. We really, really do for our conferences and things. Base is one of two. Mr. McGee, excuse me, says here, Ben, if you're concerned that you may have an implant, it's worth getting a scan to put your mind at rest. You seem generally worried about it, and while it could be something entirely different, it's always best to seek advice from a medical professional. Yeah, the problem is, Mr. McGee, if I went to my GP and asked for a referral to X-ray, he would give me a referral somewhere else, i.e. the psychiatric clinic. I would have to go private, and I would, or indeed, not even, I'd have to go to a specialist. That means basically a woo-woo, like Dr. Roger Lear. I would literally have to, I would literally have to go outside the entire medical system to have this dealt with properly. I don't have that kind of money, nor do I particularly want to that much. I mean, as I've said, what could we do? I mean, they could confirm its presence, then what? Take it out? My friend tried to take that out, and she went to Egypt and spent $2.5 grand having some surgery to remove it. 2 weeks later, it was replaced. The aliens put one back. They said, no, you got to have an implant there, my dear. We're going to put that one back. Mountain Goat says they would send him to a psych ward if he did that. Yes, exactly as Mountain Goat just says, as I just said correctly. Yeah. Base is one of two. Mountain Goat says, your talk was as good as ever, Ben. This is a couple of weeks old. How is your energy levels now? Any better? Oh, very much better. Thank you, Mountain Goat. Yeah, I didn't upload it straight away. Yeah. Base is one of two. Steve Mumling says, time and time again, you use the expression extraordinary claims require extraordinary explanations. The correct phrase is extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Oh, all right. Okay. All right. Suit yourself. Looks like the not the spelling police or the grammar police, what do you call them? The correct quote police are on patrol. You know this, and you also know there was zero extraordinary evidence, and that's why you deliberately get the phrase wrong every time. No, I don't. I get the phrase wrong because I just forget, and really, it doesn't really make explanations, evidence. It doesn't really change the meaning of the cliche very much, I don't think. And I know that, firstly, as I said, the word extraordinary is qualitative, not quantitative, so it's pretty meaningless. So when you say there's zero extraordinary evidence, what do you mean? How can there be zero extraordinary evidence? Because what if there's 10 extraordinary points or 5 extraordinary points? You say there's 0 extraordinary points. Again, if you actually state a qualitative value, which is proportional to the evidence needed to support the hypothesis, then you'd be correct. But what you're saying here is meaningless. And says that's why I get the phrase wrong every time. It's not. I mean, I get the phrase wrong in terms of its verbatim, but in terms of the meaning, there's no difference. I think you're nitpicking here, Steve. There is zero tangible evidence to support aliens running around a Orange Forest. Wrong. As usual, your presentation is complete and utter rubbish. Well, I mean, I'm not. You can think whatever you like of it, Steve. That's your right as a critic. I'm not here to impress people who and comment on their subjective receptions. You say what you want about it. You tell us you don't know what makes a claim extraordinary. I know that you can feel an extraordinary is a feeling you get. You could say, wow, that's extraordinary. It's a subjective statement. So I do know. But I think you know only too well. Yeah, I just said so. Here's a simple example. Okay. Oh, I think you may have given this one before. I have a dog. That is not an extraordinary claim. I have a dog that can fly. This is an extraordinary claim and will require extraordinary evidence to support it. No, Steve. You having a dog is neither a claim that is neither extraordinary nor ordinary. It's okay. You having a dog is a statement which is quite likely to be true because lots of people have dogs. It's not uncommon, so that's kind of that's something that I'm inclined to believe you just on the off chance because it's a fairly mundane and commonplace scenario. Okay, I have a dog that can fly. This is an extraordinary claim. No, it's not. It's a claim. Now, if your dog somehow has grown wings, the dog could be examined. It can be checked. You can like put it out in the field and see if it'll take off and fly circles and loop the loops. Okay, that's proportional evidence for the claim. Okay. Perhaps you really are that dumb. Perhaps you really can't tell the difference between an extraordinary claim and one that isn't extraordinary at all. All right, look. Well, if you're going to be rude to me and call me dumb, I'll call you dumb. Because I'm calling you dumb because you don't seem to miss the point I'm making here. I can't tell the difference between an extraordinary claim and one that isn't extraordinary at all. I can, but only when I'm perceiving it. Because that word can only apply to my subjective experience. Quote, the Queen of England was a shape-shifting lizard from outer space is an extraordinary claim. No, it's not. I mean, you may feel that it's extraordinary. I feel that it's extraordinary. The claim itself is one that that should have certain evidence to support it. Yet you tell us you believe this to be the truth with zero tangible evidence to support that claim. All right. Well, finally we have you saying something which is actually qualitative and can be measured. Zero tangible evidence. That's better. Zero extraordinary evidence is a false statement. Zero tangible evidence is a correct statement. I say correct and false in terms of their meaning and in a linguistic sense, not whether I agree with them or not. I disagree with zero tangible evidence on a factual level. I agree that it's a correct linguistic construction in a way that zero extraordinary evidence is not. This is very obviously cloud cuckoo land stuff. Maybe that's where you live. Meaningless rhetoric, Steve. Anyway, interesting comment. And we have a paper mask watch party live stream. Tessa1111 waves to Ben. Thanks, Tessa. Wave. I'm waving to you. There you go. Little big wave to Tessa. And we have Genesis Porridge on the same video saying, Ben, you are mad. All right. Well, you're the one watching me. The Crafty Nihilist. Hey, Crafty, how you doing? Says on the same video, that wheelchair montage is like a David Lynch film. Oh, my goodness me. Maybe I've been subconsciously influenced after watching Twin Peaks. Mysticism, a third reply to Stefan Molyneux. Neil Peel says first, gets the gold tinfoil hat. Art Channel says, has Molyneux ever replied? No, he only communicated with me once to thank me for giving him a donation. He has never replied to me, but I think he watches me because he sometimes uses statements. Sometimes he'll slip words and phrases into his output, which I know are ones that I think are pretty much unique to me. Ross Coulthart does the same. Because I think, well, Ross Coulthart reads UFO Truth magazine. I think he reads my column. That's the case. But Ross, of course, he ghosted me after I asked him for an interview. Neil Peel says here on mysticism, I read Journeys Out of the Body years ago after my late friend recommended it. My friend practiced the exercises given at the back of the book on how to leave your body. He did have some success with it, including traveling out of his body right out and found himself floating above the earth in space. He said the book came with warnings. Once you tried the exercise, you couldn't stop it happening. My friend said later he wished he'd never learned them. Oh, did he get like spontaneous experiences as well, Neil? I actually tried. I also tried those exercises when I read the book. I think most people do. I didn't actually get anything done. I certainly didn't fly off to Locale 3. But yeah. But yeah, I mean, the problem is, like, again, there's disclaimers all over the book. It could be that these things will start happening without them intending to happen. Mountain Goat says, are you a Gnostic? What is a Gnostic? All right. Well, funny enough, this came up at Wake and Aware because Mark Christopher Lee actually said one word, Gnostic. He said this at the end of his talk. A Gnostic is somebody who is essentially, I think it means someone who's spiritual without religious, but not being religious. Let me just define it. Let me just Google it and see if I can get a better definition. This is on a video called Swine Flu Diary Part 2. My goodness me. That's way back in 2011 when swine flu was the kind of C word of its time. Okay. Is a gnostic, Gnostic. What is a gnostic? A gnostic. Gnostic means knowing, wise, or related to the possession of hidden spiritual knowledge. The word comes from the Greek gnostikos, meaning able to know, divine from gnosis, meaning knowledge. There you are, right. Core meanings, general definition. No, it's not opening. Okay. Right, that's not opening. All right. Okay. So that's it. It often refers to sects within various religions such as Christianity and Islam that have that focus on direct experience of God rather than scripture and dogma, such as this is the Cathars were Gnostic, for example. The Sufis are Gnostic because the Sufis they use different methods. I mean, the Sufis like spin round in circles, and make themselves dizzy, and it gives them mystical experiences. But there's different methods. But that's an example of Gnosticism. The Cathars, for example, were Gnostics. Many Gnostics were exterminated in eras of religious intolerance, such as the Albigensian Crusade, in which the Cathars were literally genocided. Mountain Goat, this is on Swine Flu Diary Part 5. Do you believe in the soul trap? Matt says Mountain Goat. I don't know. It's in this book. I've read it in a couple of books that when you go towards the light, you just go into some kind of cycle, some kind of trapped cycle of reincarnation, which is in itself a kind of prison which you need to escape from. This is the basis. This is the big basis of Hinduism and Buddhism. This is a commonly held belief there, and it refers to it's found in things like the Matrix movies and things like that. The answer is I don't know. I don't know. This is a video I made so long ago, I can't even remember why I said some of the things I said in it. But I'm glad you're enjoying my old videos, Mountain Goat. Mysticism, a third reply to Stephen Molyneux. Hello, John. John Fused says, is Oxford worth visiting? Yes. And indeed, many do. It's one of the prime places of tourist attraction in the UK. It's, I think, after London. I think it's maybe second or third or fourth after London. I don't know. It's in the top 5. I know after London as being a tourist destination. And indeed, the city centre is full of tourists. Especially in summer, you get Americans and Germans and Chinese. They're all everywhere. Right, Molly, mysticism. Tessa says here. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed one here. Tessa says, you cannot be Mel Gibson unless you're SSPX, Opus Dei. Hey. Yeah, Mel Gibson is quite well known. I think he was his father, actually, who inspired him here. But he was part of the rebel SSPX group that include Bishop Richard Williamson, who refused to go along with Vatican II. And as a result, they were excommunicated by the Vatican and set up a kind of rebel group, considering themselves to be the true Catholics and things like that. It's society. What does it stand for? SSPX. Let's have a look. The SSPX. I don't know how many of them there are. Society of St. Pius X. That's it. It's a traditionalist Catholic organization founded in 1970 by Archbishop Marshal Lefebvre, considered schismatic by the Catholic Church. The Holy See formally declared them as adherents to be in schism and excommunicated them in 1988. Yeah, it's very interesting. There's for example, the Vatican II was where there was a major reform of the church. I can't remember all the details. It was called that because it was the Second Vatican Council. And they said, no, that in itself is heretical. Yeah. I don't know how many of them there are, but there's still quite a few of them left. There's a few churches that still have kind of broken away. It's got some stats on Wikipedia about how many there are. There are 155 priories, 789 chapels, 18 retreat centres, 134 schools who actually are part of this. Interesting, isn't it? Yeah. But there you go. A guy called Richard Williamson was a big British SSPX guy. I've seen interviews with him where he talks about apocalypse and stuff like that. And I think Nick Holostrom knew him, actually. Yeah. But yeah, I'm not... Mel Gibson apparently is a part of this. Tessa says here, have you always wondered, this is on the same video, Mysticism Molly 3, have you always wondered why either interviewee bothers to engage with the other? Why either? When they know they are both incapable of changing their mindset. Waste of time, not just for Stephen, but for the caller as well. For Stefan, but the caller as well. I don't know. I think Stefan does sometimes. I think he likes talking to people. I mean, I do the same with the skeptics. I just like talking to them to see if I can maybe learn something for myself, or indeed for the audience. I think he does this primarily for the audience, so the audience can learn something from what he considers to be falsehoods. And that's why I do the same thing. And I think that's why he does it. And he does sometimes change people's minds, interestingly. There's a couple of people call back and say they've changed their minds. And Molly Mysticism 3, David Splendid Isolation says here, Stefan is a naturalist prick in denial. Sick of these arrogant people, to be honest. He is a bit, isn't he? Yeah, he is a bit, definitely. I think he's... I think he sometimes comes up with interesting insights, and I really find him amazing occasionally. A lot of times he just talks total crap. And he is arrogant, actually, yeah. He boasts about being an alpha male. Anyone who boasts about being an alpha male has some insecurities, I'll tell you. If you're an alpha male, you don't need... It's obvious to everyone. You don't need to brag about it. You don't need to brag about being an alpha male if you are one. Mountain Goat. Oh, Mountain Goat has repeated the same question he's asked before. Has Stefan ever replied? No. I mean, I did. You did ask me this before. He's never actually replied, but sometimes he will say things that makes me think that he is actually watching me. Oh, David Icke books, the full set. Oh, God, this is an old one. And we've got a very interesting. We've got a completely new person commenting here. To defeat the Tor, we must become Tor. That's his name. To defeat the Tor, T-A-U. Defeat the Tor, we must become Tor. And it says here, he's a great guy, and I'm happy he's exercising free speech and seems to be helping a lot of people. All right. I don't know if you mean David Icke or me. Either way, I agree. And Tor carries on here. My to-read list is too long right now, but I look forward to reading one of his. I definitely see him live. Sorry, live. I definitely see him live. That would be amazing. Oh yeah, I mean, my to-read list is infinite. I will never read all the books on my pile over there, my to-read pile. Even that's for live to about 150 to read them all. But yeah, do go to one of his live shows. They're amazing. I go to as many as I can, and they're fantastic. They really are. And oh right, we've got another video here. This is Molly 3 Mysticism. And to defeat the thanks anyway, Tor. I appreciate you joining the live chat, joining this chat community, and I do hope you enjoy it. So this is Molly 3 Mysticism, who says here, Stefan Molyneux, Lauren Southern, Milo, they were amazing back in the days. Yeah, they were all very good. And Hugh Jarsole, hello Hugh, Hugh Jarsole, welcome back, says, what happened to Milo and Stefan? Right, well, Stefan is still doing his stuff from Hugh. Milo is, what's he doing these days? I think he seems to have gone quite quiet lately. I know he claimed he'd gone straight, which is probably just another way to draw attention to himself. But yeah, Milo became a bit of a showman in his later career. But you know, he actually started by being quite, being very, very eloquent and very persuasive anti-feminist. That's how I got into him. When I got into anti-feminism, I discovered Milo. Yeah. Indeed, Stefan was a part of that movement too. And to defeat the Tor, we must become Tor. Says Milo is back at shadow of his former self. He's going blind and seems a broken person. Oh, is he? Oh dear. Stephen Crowder, he's still going strong. All right. I think Hugh meant Stefan, but Stephen Crowder, yeah, is. Lauren Southern is back to try her grift off her new book. She got pregnant to undercover FBI operative. Oh dear, right? Did she? I haven't heard from Lauren for a while. She made a couple of good movies. There's one about South Africa that was very good. She did sort of get married, I think, at one point. But Milo, what's happened to Milo Yiannopoulos? Is he? I'm just going to Google that because I'm a bit concerned because I like Milo. Michael Yiannopoulos, here we go, is a British far-right commentator. Far-right. A former editor of Breitbart News. Let's have a look. He's only 41. Is he really going blind? He's currently in a divorce case with his estranged husband. All right. Well, in October 2025, Yiannopoulos posted on X that he may have a brain tumor, but had not been formally diagnosed. Oh my God. Oh dear. I hope he's okay. I really do. That'd be awful. That'd be awful. Get well soon, Milo. Okay, we have West Usk now and Steve Polish. I should check I've completed that thread. I think I have. Yes, I have. Who says, yeah, you make comment on some people relentlessly having a go when you get stuff wrong and staying silent on what you get right. In the world of woo-woo alien visitation, abduction, contact, hybrids walking among us, and retrievals, what exactly did you get right, Ben? Okay. Well, what I got right, I believe, is most of what I talk about in those list of subjects that you list there, in my opinion. Steve says, we learn before we can talk that error and wrongness brings correction and sanction. And you're quick enough to respond to posts with, you're wrong yourself. Okay, well, I agree. If you are proved wrong by somebody, it can be bad for the ego. But if you can control that, it's kind of mutually beneficial because you actually profit from that, intellectually profit by being proved wrong. Stefan Molyneux makes this point. I think it's entirely logical that we just notice the errors all fall the same way towards sensational or sinister suggestions which have no evidentiary basis. All the errors fall the same way towards... I don't think they do. I don't think they do. It's not entirely logical to say that. And they don't always fall towards sensational and sinister suggestions. And they do have evidentiary basis. Some of what I deal with is sinister and sinister and very sinister. Yeah. I sometimes feel a bit nostalgic. This is why I like the Y-Files. Do you know the Y-Files, Steve? I'm actually a subscriber. I actually get their Patreon and stuff like that because I pay them something every month. That's the AJ and Hecklefish. And my main reason I like the Y-Files is it makes me nostalgic. Because I mean I've been a conspiracy theorist now for over 30 years. It may be longer if you under some definitions of that word. And I think in the first decade of like when I was serious, from the mid-90s to like 2006. It was kind of fun. It was fun instead of frightening, and I feel nostalgic for that time, which is why I like the Y-Files, because it's funny and light-hearted. Of course, my whole life changed in terms of my conspiracy theory beliefs when my daughter came home from school one day in 2006 and told me that the school wanted to take her fingerprints. I mean, the term wake-up call has been overused, I think, but that's exactly what it was. I was mugged by reality at that point. And that is when I started HPANWO. I became active at that point. I was radicalized. Okay, Hugh says here, yes, I've had sleep paralysis. This is on Molly, Mysticism Molly 3. I've had sleep paralysis all my life too. I just let it take me now, and I wake up. It's a threshold. Yeah, I mean, it's something I think I might have been scared a couple of times when I was a kid, but I've had it my whole life. And I still get it. I just lie there until I wake up. I mean, the times I've seen entities are very rare, handful of times. And we have Oxford Graffiti 17. Wow Signal gets another first. Whoa, that's about 3 you've had, isn't it? Wow. And Mountain Goat says second. Yeah, so silver for Mountain Goat. You're climbing back up. Molly Mysticism 3. And it's Crafty Nihilist says, hey, Ben, it's Liz. Oh, right. Did I... You've changed your avatar a bit. Maybe that's why I didn't recognize you. If I didn't recognize you, sorry about that. Yeah. West Dusk. And we have 704. Let's have a look.
Just yesterday, I watched it a couple of days ago, and I wrote a review of it yesterday. It's called The Most Reluctant Convert.
Oh, right, yes, this is a film. She says, isn't that a good film? Oh, right, it is actually Mountain Goat, if you've seen it, The Most Reluctant Convert. It's actually filmed in Oxford. It's very good, and it's based on a book called Surprised by Joy by C.S. Lewis. Mountain Goat says, have you read it, the book? And I said, no, I haven't. I've read a lot of C.S. Lewis, his fictional work. Chronicles of Narnia were part of my growing up process, and also the Space Trilogy, especially I think the last one, that hit its strength is very meaningful. Right, West Usker we have here 818. What's here now? This is Mountain Goat.
Oh, well, welcome to Gloucester Green Station. I'm here at the Gatwick Express. Yeah, breaking news, guys. The venue's been moved. It's not a Newport anymore. It's in Indian Wells. No, it hasn't, actually. But for some reason, I've got to go to Heathrow Airport.
Okay. Bad joke, Ben. All right, well, as the late, great Frankie Howard used to say, Mountain Goat, please yourselves. And we have here Mountain Goat again on West Usk. Are Newport cigarettes named after Newport? I don't know. You can look it up. Google AI is not actually that bad. It has its uses. Let's say about electronics: a great servant but terrible master. Newport cigarettes. Right, Newport cigarettes is the second largest cigarette brand in the United States, recognized primarily as a dominant market leader in menthol cigarettes. It originally introduced in 1957 by Lorillard. That's a good name. It goes some different things here. It's defined by strong mint profile, white and blue packaging. Right, okay. Newport is right. Demographic and marking, controversy, regulatory. But I'll just write here, where did the name come from? Here we go. This is going to answer to your question here, Mountain. The Newport was originally named after historic. Oh, here we go. Yeah, historic resort seaport. Oh, right, of Newport, Rhode Island. Okay, there you go. It's named after a place called Newport, but not in Wales. It's named after a place in the US. There's your answer. Hope you like that, Goat. And Mountain Goat says, doesn't Newport seem quiet? Yes, it does. I mean, in the evening, it really does seem like a bit of a ghost town, doesn't it? A Mountain Goat says here on West Usk, doesn't the lighthouse look amazing? It does, yes. I love it. It's a great place. A really great place. Right, Mountain Goat says 4838. What's this here? This is a timestamp here.
What HPANWO stands for? How Paranormal Anonymous News Works Online. That's not...
Oh, yeah. I'm loving the new acronym, Ben. How Paranormal Anonymous News Works Online. Where the hell did he get that from? It's nowhere. It made it up. I mean, and you only have to look at my website to see what it actually really stands for. I mean, and people think these things are going to take over the world. You must be joking. A Mountain Goat says that's a completely different thing, and it's easy to mix them up because Ben Emlyn-Jones uses the same letters for his radio network. But the phrase "how paranormal and anomalous news works online" is a concept, not a show. Essentially a description of how fringe, paranormal, and anomalous stories circulate on the internet. Maybe Mountain Goat, but thing is, I got a feeling that for some reason this thing was actually just guessing. It was just guessing. Strange, that, isn't it? Right, same video, West Usk, Mountain Goat. And Lewis Hamilton is Barack Obama's son, another crank theory. Oh, you've heard me say that before. Is that what I said here? Yeah. Let's have a look.
That was it? Yeah, Bill Hicks is Alex Jones. I don't believe these things. There's a limit.
Oh, you remember me saying that on previous videos, don't you? There we go. And this is 133. Yeah.
Here again at this lovely location. My name is Ben Emlyn-Jones.
It says here, like that Breaking Bad episode, The Fly. All right, I'm still on season 2, mate. I'm sorry, I'm still on season 2 with Breaking Bad. But I know it's. Did what you see there remind you of that? All right. A Mountain Goat says here, chemtrails are bad in Newport. They were, weren't they? They were really awful. That's in the same video there. I know we have Backrooms film review. I'm still not actually sure whether I'm going to go ahead with the bloody live stream. I'll leave it up to you. Do you want me to go ahead with the Backrooms live stream? Because I'm thinking of cancelling that. Mountain Goat says, is creepypasta now a favourite genre for you? Yes, I think it is, I think after watching the Backrooms, it's not the movie. The movie in the cinema was quite good, but the real treasure, I think, is the online serial, of which the movie's based, has the same director and writer. Yeah, it's really good. Oh, we got 2030. What's this? Is a timestamp here.
It's also got other similarities. I
Oh
mean,
right, right. He says here. Hang on. He says here, free Palestine. Yes. The reason Mountain Goat says that, I don't have to show you in the video. It's 2030 in Backrooms Film Review, but it's because somebody. I walked past a house and someone put a Palestinian flag out the window. So Mountain Goat says free Palestine. Well spotted, Mountain Goat. Same video of Backrooms Film Review. Is Backrooms a contemporary classic and psychological neo-noir thriller? A psychological neo-noir thriller? I don't know. It's certainly, but I don't know if neo-noir. No, probably not. But certainly, it is a contemporary classic. It's very psychological, very original. Actually, I don't know exactly what genre it is, except it's based on the sort of liminal space 4chan threads and things like that. Yeah. And here we have Disclosure Day. Mountain Goat says, hi, Wickham, to see a movie. Pretty committed, plus getting a hotel expensive ticket. Yeah, I mean, I suppose it is a commitment on my part, because all I have to do is wait 2 days. Then I could have seen it in Oxford, but I didn't. I suddenly realised it went on to limited release on the Wednesday. And I went and saw, my goodness, is it showing anywhere in Oxford? And I looked, and I'm sure it wasn't. It was showing at Cineworld, but there is no Cineworld in Oxford, but there was one at High Wycombe. So I thought I'll go to High Wycombe to see it. And I wanted to go and see the first showing, like 10 a.m. or something, whatever it was. And I suddenly realised that I'd have to get up really early, like about 6 in the morning. I'd get to the station, get a train. The train would be more expensive because it would be like a peak fare. And by the time I got there, I'd probably be tired. I'd be falling asleep in the cinema theatre. So I thought what I'll do is I'll just go there the evening before and stay overnight. It'll be much, and it will make it more fun as well. It will make it a kind of, I suppose, it'll make it a kind of an occasion. So that's what I decided to do. And I suppose I also thought it would make a more interesting video. Mountain Goat 10:04 on Disclosure Day. What's this? Okay.
I don't know if it's something a bit weird going on here, right? But my door is a different colour to all the others.
Oh, right. Yeah, different coloured door. That's right. And Goat says, a different coloured hotel door. Sounds like something from Backrooms. Yeah, I did wonder if I get sort of like unclipped, but luckily I wasn't. I do wonder but the only door in that entire floor which was black was mine. All the others were sort of light brown. Disclosure Day. Oh, I don't need to click this timestamp, but it's Mountain Goat says, normies have culturally appropriated the woo-woo. Bro, I laughed. I'm glad that amused you, Mountain Goat. But yeah, we culturally appropriated UFO. We did, from the Robertson panel. This is why the term UAP exists. They only exist because they can't use UFO anymore. And we have here English TK, all right, which is on West Usk, and this is the top of the. This is actually the top of the list. I will actually do a refresh, and I'll go to notifications before I end the video. But he said here, 2332. Let's have a look. This is a time.
I was getting on it was so extreme. It's even by my standards. I had to draw a line under it. There was like Fed posting. There was.
Right, okay. I think I know the point you're making here. You reported the comments to the police. Did you do it in your Guardian reader voice? Oh, Mr. Policeman, please help me. There are some comments. I just mean on the one hand, you're a big hospital reporter, and the next minute you're calling the government because of a comment. Seems a little inconsistent, if you ask me. I thought the government were trying to kill everyone, and here's you calling them up to report hurty words. No, and to English TK, there's no inconsistency here. I've actually said many times there are things you can say which break the law legitimately. I have said that. If I were to threaten you or to spread disinformation, accuse you of a crime and go around telling people that you committed a crime, that's against the law. That's threats. Threats of violence are against the law. Defamation is against the law. And things like that. You could sue me. You could report me to the police for criminal, or you could sue me in a civil court for that. So there's no. I mean, I call them up to report hurty words. I do not. In this case, people were literally threatening me. And the same thing happened with the Dr. Jonathan Reed video. People were literally threatening me. They were I had people accusing me of child abuse, basically, of being having my daughter taken into care because I was a useless father. All right. Now, this refers to a very sensitive period in my life when my own mother turned against me. Okay. And people were bringing that up, and they were spreading it around. They were telling people. There were people saying they were going to track me down and things like that. You got to call the police over that. There's nothing inconsistent here. Okay, so now where are we? Okay, so that's the end. Now, I've already checked TikTok. There's nothing on TikTok. Maybe I'll just do another double check. I haven't had a comment on TikTok for a couple of months, though. Mind you, I haven't had an extra view on my Charlie Vitch video for bloody months. So TikTok is very dodgy, actually. It's really, really dodgy. Oh, it won't actually go. Let's have a look. Come on. Here we are. Here we go. So I'm just going to check TikTok, see if I've got any comments on there or anything else. And I don't think. Do I? Let's have a look.
Planet Frog says,
if Jesus was alive
That's
today,
a video. That's just a video of
I suppose he might.
That's Planet Frog. Planet Frog was actually a. I know Planet Frog. He's a guy who I met a couple of times. Actually. Oh, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. Okay.
Washing.
No, okay. Planet Frog is actually a friend of mine from the original David Icke forum in the 90s. Okay, so nothing there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open up a new browser on YouTube to see if there's anything that's been said while I've been recording this video, because if so, I will make sure I'll make sure I mention it. Let's have a look. Right, that's on a different video. Another one. Oh, that's it. There's some here on. Oh, Christina Gomez has uploaded. Angry Astronaut. Oh, he's got something new about 3i Atlas. I've got to watch that. So I've got some comments from other people's videos, but nothing on my own here. I can see. I'll just. I think I'll just do a quick refresh actually of the community page just to be certain, because I mean the notifications aren't always chronological anymore, which is a bit annoying when that happens, but that's the way it is. So let's have a look. View newest. Yeah, okay. Oh, I've got none. Okay, so that's the end of the video basically. Obviously, what they say: if no farmers, no food. You know, and no comments, no video. So I've got to say a big thank you to everyone who's left a comment here today. It's been really, really cool. There's been some really interesting ones on this particular cycle, so thank you very much. And there's lots more coming. I've got other videos coming. For example, the Awaken Aware reportage. I'm editing it at the moment. Hopefully it'll be uploaded soon, next few days. It's the Project Anchor thing coming up. It's also the 10th anniversary of Roswell Rising being published. I'm going to do a live stream for that, all coming up in the next month. And I'm going to Cornwall. Yeah. I'll say more about that nearer the time. And I'm going to see Alice Taylor. Yeah. So I've got a lot of trips planned. In the meantime, thank you everyone for all those comments. Obviously, yeah, I really, really do appreciate them. They mean a lot to me. And yeah, just inside 2 hours, it's the end of the video. Thank you for watching HPANWO TV. This is the YouTube one. Now, look, if you're actually on Alt Tech and you're watching this on Alt Tech, don't forget to subscribe. Check out the Alt Tech Annex. It is exclusive to Alt Tech and won't be uploaded to YouTube. So thank you all of you for watching HPANWO TV. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity. Stop the New World Order.
Conspiracies, government cover-ups, Earth mysteries, monster cryptids, psyops, saucers and black triangles, HPANWO.